All right, well, good morning, Central Georgia, and happy Saturday. We're coming to you live to do a little bit of a live stream, a check-in on our severe weather potential for the upcoming weekend. So I'm actually going to have production put Max 2 behind me, and we're going to talk a little bit more about what we're expecting to see for the upcoming weekend. There you go. Thank you so much, Terry. So it all kind of sets the stage today, right? We're talking about a severe weather potential for later tonight, heading into early Sunday morning. So I want to kind of talk about what we're seeing right now and how that's kind of setting up our chances for severe weather for tonight. So the current temperatures right now are really warm. It's actually a really pleasant start to the day. We're in the mid to upper 50s. A couple areas already seeing 60, Monticello at 60, Cordele at 60, and generally it's just a pretty warm start to the day. So there's ingredient number one that we're going to be checking the box on throughout the day today. The temperatures are going to get really warm. So we're going to kind of start to have some of that instability in the air. If you think about severe weather, it's kind of like baking a cake, right? There's several ingredients that you've got to have to come together that make the chances for us to have some severe weather. And one of those is having some really warm air in place. So that is number one, check. We have some warm air. It's actually going to be a really nice day today. The temperatures are going to climb up to the 80s, so it's going to be really warm. Ingredient number two, you got to have moisture, right? You can't have rain, you can't have storms without having a little bit of moisture. So that's something else that's going to be filtering in throughout the day today. It's kind of already been filtering in throughout the day yesterday as well. We're starting to have some southerly flow that's bringing in some moisture. You can see the humidity map up just a touch. So we're not in completely dry conditions. We're kind of in not bad right now, but it's enough where we have moisture in place to couple with the warmer temperatures, and those two ingredients are also in place. So check number two, we've got some moisture kind of filtering in from the south here, and that's the feel that you're going to feel throughout the air today, right? You're going to feel some warmer temperatures and you're going to feel kind of the muggier air. So I always feel this way whenever we have storm systems coming in. I walk outside and I'm like, oh yeah, it feels like there could be bad weather moving in. That's probably how today's going to feel a little bit. Now, ingredient number three that we're going to have throughout the afternoon today is the winds are going to pick up just a little bit as well. So this is going to be kind of a weird thing. You're going to see in a second. We are actually in a wind advisory for the rest of the afternoon, aside from the severe weather. So the winds ahead of the system moving in are going to be picking up a little bit here. You can see we're already clocking wind gusts 15 to 20 miles per hour. The wind gusts for the rest of the day are actually going to be able to climb up to about 35 miles per hour. So this is not a part of our severe weather potential, but it will be something you'll notice throughout the day. Some of those southerly winds that are bringing in the moisture are also going to tick up our winds a little bit through the afternoon as well. So when we're talking about the actual day for Saturday, it's actually going to be a pretty nice day. If you have outdoor plans today, I know we have Peaches to Beaches going on. I think we also have some parades today. It's generally going to be a good day to get outside and do that. Like I said, the high temperature will actually be in the 80s, so it's going to be a really warm day today. It's not until late tonight into early Sunday morning that severe weather potential starts to move in. So let's take a look at what it's looking like right now. Quiet in our neck of the woods here on satellite and radar. A couple of showers in North Georgia here and a couple of thunderstorms as well ahead of that line coming into our area. So that's kind of what we're seeing in North Georgia, but again, nothing for us here in Central Georgia. What you see out to the west, mainly over Mississippi, parts of Louisiana and Arkansas, where you see all of these severe thunderstorm warnings, that's where the line has already kind of begun to form. So this has already spurred up several severe thunderstorm warnings, one tornado warning in northern Mississippi, and I'm going to flip on the Storm Prediction Center outlook for you here, so don't be alarmed. Here it comes. There we go. All right, so this is kind of a look at what's outlined already here. So this is where that line is, and you can see where it's formed is where they're already in a level 3. So if you recall, we are also in a level 3 here in Central Georgia. So kind of taking a look at what's going out on this level 3 out towards the west right now maybe gives us somewhat of a picture of what we could expect to see early in the morning on Sunday. So we see a couple severe thunderstorm warnings already. That's pretty expected. We're probably going to see some severe thunderstorm warnings. And of course, one of the things we're watching for is the chance to have some tornado warnings as well. So one already noted in that level 3 area. Of course, that's something we already been watching. We know that's possible for us for Sunday morning as well, but it's good to pay attention to things like that when they're already happening, right? Because we're getting an idea of what this line looks like in a level 3 already, and then we'll kind of watch it move into this 4 and the worst area here, the level 5, where actually a tornado outbreak is expected for later today. So this is going to be where it's worse. We're going to see the strongest impacts over Mississippi and over Alabama where the level 5 is outlined. But again, we are still in a level 3. So Still paying attention to that, just kind of seeing how things are forming right now. That's a look at what's going on. Not expecting to see anything until later tonight. I know it looks like it may get here kind of quickly, but it's going to take its time sweeping across both of those states. So here's a closer look at our Storm Prediction Center outlook here in central Georgia. Like I said, the worst of it out towards the west. That level 5 is not over us at all. It's over Mississippi and over Alabama. The latest update with the Storm Prediction Center outlook that you may have already heard about is that they did kind of take this level 4 area and push it across state lines just a touch into western Georgia. So that's kind of the biggest change we've seen in the last 24 hours or so. They pushed that risk a little bit further. It kind of grazes Upson County here, but mainly in central Georgia, we are still in a level 3, and the rest of us here in our eastern counties are in a level 2. So the idea here is that there's going to be a little bit of a weakening trend, right? It's going to be a lot worse over Mississippi and Alabama, and then as it pushes across central Georgia, hopefully we should gradually see some weakening as it pushes further towards the east. And I'll show you what that looks like on models here in just a minute. But still, if you're in our eastern counties, it's still important to pay attention to in the early morning hours. I included this here because we're kind of in between time frames from the Storm Prediction Center. So what you just saw was supposed to be kind of Saturday night into Sunday morning, but this outlook is for Sunday, so it just really kind of includes the rest of our counties in that level 2. I just wanted you to see that because I think in the last outlook, parts of Montgomery County are in a level 1. I want you to think of yourself in a level 2 if you're in our eastern counties, because that's kind of what they're trying to do here by these two separate outlooks. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go through the future view. I'll show you the timing of all the areas. I'll talk about what we're expecting to see, and I will address some comments on the Facebook stream as well. So don't worry, I will get to that in just a few minutes, but I'm going to kind of get through what I'm talking about here first, and then I'll kind of go to comments after that. So let's take a look at the future view here. We just saw where the line is forming. It's over Mississippi, starting to enter parts of northern Alabama and kind of heading into Tennessee as well. Later tonight is when we're going to see that strongest part of the storm sit over Alabama. So this is Saturday evening. Not really expecting to see impacts before that here in central Georgia. So that's when it's going to be at its worst, crossing state lines into our area, probably around midnight to 1 in the morning. So here's a look at about 1 a.m. here in central Georgia, and you can see the line starting to knock on the door of our northwestern counties here. And the thing that we've kind of been emphasizing with this storm is it's a little bit of a slow mover. So if you remember the last line that we had come through here in early February, we started seeing impacts at around 4 or 5 a.m. and then this thing was out of here by 10 a.m. We're looking at a little bit of a longer duration for this. We're talking about seeing impacts by 1 a.m. and I'll play this out for you. You'll see we won't really be through with it until around 10 a.m. as well. So it's going to take a little bit of time to get this thing out of here. Probably not even really in the Macon Warner Robins area until maybe 4 or 5 in the morning. So still just kind of slowly rolling across our area here, not in our southeastern counties until 6, 7, 8 a.m. maybe. And then hopefully, I will say this has been trending a little bit earlier this morning with this morning's model runs. Yesterday it was kind of showing being out of our neck of the woods by 10, 11 a.m. Now maybe showing our neck of the woods clear by 9, 10 a.m. So trending a little bit earlier in terms of the time we're done with this, but we should be through with it by the mid-morning, kind of early afternoon, the late morning, early afternoon, so kind of 10, 11, 12. That's when we're kind of looking to be through with this thing. And then it's actually going to be a pretty nice day behind it. So Sunday will be pretty nice for the most part of the day after we're done with this, and we're going to be nice and clear for the start of the work week as well. So let's take that timing just a little more locally, because I know we like to talk a little bit about county by county. Here's a closer view of our central Georgia area specifically. This is the same model, so you're going to see the same exact thing that I just showed you, but maybe a little bit closer, so you can kind of get an idea of what your county is expecting to see. So I will say, as it rolls into our western half here, you saw where that outlook kind of starts to drop down. The level 4 comes right up to state lines. Then we're in a level 3, and then as we head towards our southeastern counties, kind of Lawrence and beyond, that's where our level 2 sits. So as this thing rolls into our neck of the woods in that early morning 1 a.m. hour, I think this is when we will see it at its strongest, because it's going to be holding on to some of the strength it had from out west. And then the hope, again, is that it gradually weakens as it comes across our area. But you'll see that reflected in the tornado parameter that I'm going to show you here in just a minute. All of the ingredients that I was just talking about are going to be together the most when we see this line just kind of enter our area here crossing state lines. So that's something to note, just pay attention to. But still, if you're in our level 2, if you're further out on the end of our level 3, I don't want you to let your guard down. This is still going to be all of the parameters that are on the table for Sunday morning. So potential damaging winds, potential tornadoes, potential hail, heavy rainfall, all of those things are still going to be on the table for everybody all morning long. I think I'm just kind of emphasizing and maybe a little bit stronger for our northwestern counties. So there it is, 4 or 5 a.m. kind of in the Macon area, and then 6, 7 a.m. maybe kind of entering Lawrence County and then pushing into our southeastern counties by hopefully 8 to 9 in the morning, and then finally moving out of here by 10, 11, maybe in the middle of the day on Sunday. So that's kind of a look at timing. Like I said, the rest of the day Sunday is actually going to be pretty pleasant. We're not really going to be dealing with much. After this, it's going to stay nice and clear, not only into Sunday, but also into Monday as well. I'll just throw in one more model for you. This is the HRRR model. This is kind of the highest resolution model we have, so we get this the closest to the actual event happening. I just want to show you the same kind of thing. The timing is a little bit different on the HRRR model. So this is 2 a.m. and it's not quite in our area just yet, but I tend to veer on the side of the timing with the graph. So I would still say around 1 to 2 a.m. You could still see it in our area, 3 to 4 a.m. and then still pushing into our southeastern counties, 6, 7, 8, 9 a.m. is when we're kind of going to be looking at being done with this. So same kind of story on the HRRR model. I just show you that to show you there's some pretty good consistency in terms of what we're expecting to see later tonight and tomorrow morning. So now let's talk a little bit about the impacts. One of the things we're watching is definitely watching for the chance to see some tornadoes, but I want you to focus here on what I'm about to show you. So this is our tornado potential. You're going to see the coloring here. Low chances of seeing tornado will be kind of this blue, green, yellow. Higher chances are going to be when you creep into this red, dark red, kind of purple color here. So watch as this line moves over Alabama. You start to see a lot of those reds creep in, and even areas of purple just kind of south of Birmingham here. So intense and more higher chances of seeing tornadoes way out towards our west. As this moves across state lines where that level 4 kind of got extended yesterday, I also want you to pay attention to that. Still a better chance as it's making its way into our western counties. So I just want you to note that. I still think it's going to be a little bit stronger as it heads into our western counties, so still a little bit of a higher chance here. But watch as it kind of pushes to our area. You see some of that red start to go away. We're mostly sitting under yellows and greens and blues. So lower chances, and then as it pushes into our eastern half, still looking at lower chances. So this supports the idea that there will be some general weakening, but there's still a chance, right? I wanted you to kind of take away two big things from that. There should be general weakening from what you can see here. That's one thing I wanted you to take away. But the second thing is it's not a 0% chance. So even though it should show some signs of weakening as it pushes across our area, you still see some of the greens, you still see some of the yellows. So we're still looking at a chance to have tornado warnings for Sunday morning. That's all across our area, all morning long. The areas out to the west are looking at better chances than the areas out towards the east, but everybody is looking at a chance. So I want you to note that just so that you know what you can pay attention to for early morning in the upcoming hours, but also noting that it's a lot worse out to the west, and it does support the idea that it'll be gradually weakening as it heads into our area. So that's a look at the tornado parameter, still kind of holding on to the chances as it pushes further east and then out of our neck of the woods late morning. Now, that's not the only thing that we're going to be watching. Something we haven't talked about quite as much is the fact that there's also going to be some really, really heavy rain. So these storms, like I said, they're going to sit with us a little bit longer than typical lines. So we're going to have the chance to tack on some pretty good rainfall totals. This map fluctuates in and out. If you've seen us use it, you know how much it changes day to day. It's hard to say exactly which areas are going to receive exactly how much rain, but I think we're looking at the chance to see close to 2 to 3 inches, in between 2 to 3 inches in most areas, depending on how long one particular storm sits over one area. They're going to be pretty efficient rainfall producers throughout the day. So that's also a threat that I want you to pay attention to. We're not in any sort of flooding risk for tomorrow morning, but we are in the chance to see some river flooding. So, there's a flooding risk further up in North Georgia, and some of that subsequent water is going to roll down into our area throughout the next coming days through our rivers, and that's what kind of keeps our river flooding potential around after this line moves through. So noting that there could be in between 2 to 3 inches of rain tomorrow as well. Some areas, if the storms don't sit over for quite as long, or maybe you just don't get quite as an efficient rainfall producer, you'll be looking at some lower totals. But this is kind of the high end of what we could expect to see. Don't get too nailed down on specific locations with this map. I don't think it's going to be a big difference between, or an exact difference between what you're seeing like in Sandersville and Sparta. It should be a little bit different depending on what we see tomorrow. This is just a general estimate. So that's what I had looked at in terms of potentials, in terms of what we're expecting to see tomorrow. I included the 7-day just to show you that after we're done with this, on Sunday afternoon, it'll be clear, and then we stay clear Monday, Tuesday, heading into Wednesday, really Thursday and Friday, which I'll move out of the way, really Thursday and Friday as well. We have a clear work week ahead of us. We just got to get through this severe weather chance for Sunday afternoon. So what should we be doing to prepare for this? Well, there's a couple things that you can do to kind of get ready to get ahead of this. The best way to not be fearful of weather rolling in is just to be prepared. So what can you do? The first thing you can do is know your safe spot, and I have a graphic included right after this one showing you what some potential tornado safe spots could look like for you in case you've never thought about that before. Knowing your safe spot is great, and having a plan for if a tornado warning is issued for your area. I know that my parents always had a safety plan with us, and growing up I thought it was so ridiculous. I was like, Mom, I don't want to wear my bike helmet in the basement. I don't really feel like we need to talk about what we need to do if this rolls through. I thought it was dumb, and now I understand. It's really, really good to have a plan with your family, especially talking to your kids about it. My parents even made it fun. Sometimes they would be like, okay, let's sleep in the basement tonight and make it a fun thing. And I just remember it being a fun thing as a kid. So talking to your families, getting your kids on the same page, and just helping them understand what to expect for tomorrow morning and where to go if there is a warning issue. That's probably first and foremost. The second thing you can be doing is turning on weather alerts on your phone. So the thing that we always emphasize when weather like this is rolling through is don't expect the weather to wake you up in the morning. Rely on actual weather alerts. Have multiple ways to receive weather alerts. On my personal phone, I have the 13WMAZ weather app. I have other trusted weather sources, the NOAA weather radio. So there's a lot of different ways to receive alerts, but you want to have multiple ways just in case maybe your first one doesn't quite wake you up. And you definitely don't want to rely on the weather. So having multiple ways to receive alerts, and also being familiar with what your county looks like on a map. So if we showed a map and we said this county and this county and this county are in a tornado warning, could you recognize that, one, that is your county, and two, that is your area in your specific county? So knowing your location on a map is also going to be important. The third one I just threw in there just as a precautionary, you can secure loose items on your outdoor porches, because we are still going to have some pretty gusty winds even if we don't have tornado warnings. That can kind of knock a few things, maybe loose items out on your porches around. So I did that yesterday, just kind of pulled in some of my little potted plants, things like that, just so that they wouldn't become projectiles in the air when we have gusty winds. The other thing you can do is charge your devices. Some of these strong winds have the chance to maybe knock some power lines out. If we have branches or maybe some trees down, that could knock power lines out. So when there's any severe weather moving in, it's always important just to kind of charge your devices and plan for the chance to be out of power for a little bit of an extended time. So those are kind of your checklist items if you want to get ready and just be prepared ahead of this line for later tonight into tomorrow. I mentioned I do have a graphic showing tornado safe spots. So if you've never really thought about this before, the general rule of thumb is that your safe spot is supposed to be the interior most room in your house. So the most walls that you can put between most walls you can put between you and the outside as possible, that's going to be the best option for you. So you can see on this graphic here, nothing that has kind of an outside wall. It's best to use a bathroom. I know most people know that one. You can be in your bathtub. They have some really solid walls, things like that. Bathrooms are good. Interior rooms, hallways, staircases, interior closets, things like that. If you are extra precautionary and you want to cover yourself in your bathtub with a mattress or some extra padding, you can also do that as an extra precaution as well. It's definitely not something that you need to do. The best place you can be is also lowest level of your home. So all of those things, and then on the lowest level of your home, that's going to be the best place for you to be. That's all this says right here. It's just avoiding outside walls. You can cover yourself for extra protection, and the best place to be is a basement. I will also say, if you are in a mobile home or maybe a home that does not have a foundationary structure, typically when severe weather like this is rolling through, it's best to make a plan to seek shelter in something that does have shelter like that. I know I get a lot of questions about like that just generally when we have stronger weather rolling through, and because we have the threat to have some pretty damaging winds, that would be wind gusts in about 60 to 70 miles per hour, and then we also have the threat of tornadoes on the table. That's a suggestion that I would make as well, just kind of making sure if you are in maybe some home that does not quite have a stationary structure, making plans to do that can also be a smart move as well. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to check and I just saw a note from our producers. So the Facebook streams will be starting tonight. So I actually don't have Facebook comments, but what I did yesterday was I had made a post on my personal Facebook asking for questions. The graphics that I threw in here was to address those questions. I had questions about mobile homes, I had questions about specific timing, I had questions about specific threats, and that's kind of what I've tried to address here. So before I sign off, I will go back one more time. We'll walk through the future view just so if you join me a little bit late, you can get an idea on latest timing, but things are still generally not changing a whole lot. This hasn't moved much as we've kind of headed throughout the week or so. The timing has generally stayed pretty consistent with that arrival time around 1 to 2 a.m. and just slowly taking its time moving across our area. So still in our neck of the woods, 5, 6 a.m., maybe that Macon, Warner Robins area, 6, 7 a.m. kind of entering our southeastern counties and not really leaving us until maybe 9, 10, 11 in the morning. So holding on to this thing for a while, which is something that I've been trying to emphasize because I know a lot of these lines move through quickly. We're used to kind of kicking them out of here as quickly as they come, but this one is going to be a little bit different in the sense that it's just going to hang out with us for a little bit longer. So if you were looking for timing, maybe you joined us a little bit late, that's still the same idea on timing. And in terms of potential threats that we're paying attention to, I'll emphasize one more time. We're watching damaging wind gusts, and then we're watching for the chance for some tornadoes. Some of these thunderstorms could be stronger, which means we could have areas of hail and then just some really heavy rainfall as well. Those are kind of the big 4 things that we're paying attention to as this line rolls across. So that's kind of the general idea there. Again, if you do have some questions that you want to ask me, we will be back here coming up at 9 a.m. for 13 WMAZ News at 9. That will be live on the air. And then we have one more stream coming up at 11 a.m. I'm going to be doing the exact same thing that you just saw here, going through the timing, talking about the threats. We're just going to kind of do this whole thing hour by hour until this thing is in our neck of the woods, and then we will be with you all night long. Chief Meteorologist Ben Jones will be here tonight. Meteorologist David Guerrero and I will be helping him out all night long, and we will just be tracking this thing, kind of hanging out here until it's out of our area. So that's the big picture and what you can expect, but that's really all I've got for you for right now. Please join us at 9 a.m. for 13 WMAZ News at 9, and I'll be with you with another check at the forecast. Thank you so much for joining me, and I'm Meteorologist Ansley Parker.